Hey everyone! Today we're going to dive into a really practical framework for making sound ethical decisions at work. Think of it as a compass for those moments when the right path just isn't all that clear. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through a simple 4-part structure. First, we'll get good at spotting the common risks. Then, I'll give you a 5-step framework to navigate them. After that, we'll talk about all the support systems you have available. And finally, we'll cover the protections that are in place for when you speak up. All right, first up, recognizing ethical risks. Because let's be honest, ethics isn't always black and white, right? It's usually about navigating that tricky gray zone. And it's so important to be able to spot these potential issues before they become big problems. So just imagine for a second, you're facing a tough call. The right choice feels kind of fuzzy. Maybe it's complicated or you're feeling pressure from all sides. That exact moment, well, that's when having a framework is an absolute game changer. And usually, these risks fall into one of 4 main buckets. You've got those subtle gray areas, you've got high-pressure situations that tempt you to cut corners, you've got the misuse of authority, and then there's the sneaky one, where misconduct has somehow become the norm. And that pressure? It's not just a feeling, it's very real. Get this, research shows that almost a third of employees in the US feel pressure to compromise their company's standards. That's not just some number on a slide. It's a huge warning sign for future problems in any workplace. So when you're staring down one of those risks, what's the solution? Well, it's this practical 5-step framework. This really is your compass for making clear, solid decisions you can stand behind. This whole process is designed to be super straightforward. It walks you right through it, from just figuring out what the problem is, to checking the policies, thinking about the impact, asking for help, and finally documenting what you did. It just ensures you're being thoughtful every step of the way. Okay, let's really zoom in on step 3 for a second, because understanding the impact of your choices, well, that's where the rubber meets the road. This is your moment to pause and really think about the ripple effects of your decision on everyone involved. And a great way to assess your options is to look at the problem through these 5 ethical lenses. They're like different pairs of glasses that help you see the situation from all angles. You stop asking, what can I do? And you start asking things like, what's the fairest thing to do? Or which choice creates the most good and the least harm? It even makes you think about which option reflects the kind of person you want to be. Now here's what's so important to remember. This framework doesn't just throw you in the deep end and expect you to make these tough calls all by yourself. The whole system is built on one core principle. You are not alone. We've set up multiple, very distinct channels for you to get advice or report something you're concerned about. Whether it's your supervisor, HR, our compliance officer, or a confidential hotline, there is always a safe path for you to speak up. Okay, this is a big one. A question people ask all the time is, when do I go to HR, and when should I use the ethics hotline? They might seem similar, but they actually have very different and very important roles. Let's clear that up. This chart really nails the difference. So think of it this way. HR is your internal expert, your go-to for things like employee relations and policy questions. The ethics hotline, on the other hand, is usually run by an independent third party. That gives you a confidential and often totally anonymous channel for the really serious stuff like fraud or potential legal issues. It just helps minimize any kind of bias. And that brings us to maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle. Knowing that when you do the right thing, when you speak up, you are protected. This is your safety net. We have to be really honest about this. The single biggest reason good people stay silent is fear. Fear of retaliation. That's why having strong anti-retaliation protections isn't just a nice policy to have. It's an absolute promise. Our anti-retaliation policy is built around this idea of good faith reporting. So what does that mean? It's simple. You don't have to be 100% sure you have all the facts. If you have a reasonable belief that something isn't right, you are protected when you report it, even if an investigation later finds that everything was okay. And just so we're crystal clear, when we say retaliation, we're not talking about something vague. We mean these specific things. These are all examples of actions that are strictly forbidden both by our policy and, in many cases, by law. Your career will not be hurt for doing the right thing. And, this isn't just our company policy. These protections are backed by powerful federal laws, often enforced by agencies like OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That just underscores how seriously we take our commitment to a safe reporting environment for everyone. Now, if you're a supervisor or a manager, you have a really specific and critical role here. You're expected to help build the speak up culture, to step in early when you see issues, and most importantly, to actively protect your team from any form of retaliation. At the end of the day, a culture of integrity isn't something that's just decided by leadership. It's something we all build together in the hundreds of small choices we make every single day. It's truly a shared responsibility. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this to think about. How will you personally use this framework, these tools, and these protections to help strengthen our ethical culture? Thank you so much for your time.